my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. We saw about till erection in last class. We are going to like just continue the next process, lifting, insert location and orientation. Just let me turn on the pen. Okay. While panels are handled flat off of a casting bed or truck, you already know you are going to transport all the panels in a trailer. Yes. Kindly bear with me for drawing like this. Your trailer, you know all your panels are loaded here. Now you are going to lift and place it at the work site. While lifting, what are the parameters you have to look for is where you are going to place your hooks location. You have a hooked, like you have this type of provision embedded in your precast panels so that the cable from the crane holding a hook will be inserted into it, and that is going to lift it up. That is going to lift your panel. For that, lifting inserts should coincide with the center of gravity of the precast elements. When a panel is to be lifted, kindly let me know whenever my network connectivity is out or you're not audible or you have any grievances, kindly let me know so that I can continue it. When a panel is to be lifted flat and then tilted to a vertical position in one operation, the panel may only be lifted using two crane hooks. You have, when the size is larger, you are going to place multiple points. Depending upon the size and the orientation, you are going to place multiple points. For that, we'll be seeing what type of the location, placing of joints are there, like where you are going to place it. All those things we'll be seeing in the forthcoming slides. For the tilt-up panels, the center of lifting inserts should be normally at least 300 mm closer to the top of the panel. That is, this should be greater than 300. This is the center of gravity. From here to here, it should be greater than 300. You are placing 4 at the sides. This is the length. This rolling slings, this is nothing but you might have seen in work sites or somewhere, or if possible, I'll show you the photos in the next class, that you'll be having steel ropes here. Rolling slings are nothing but steel ropes, the hooks hanging on both sides. You can just lower this by operating from the cabin itself. You can lower this. Here you need a man to just get it inserted. He has to make sure that it is holding it tight. Then they'll be lifting this panel. At least 300 mm closer to the top of the panel than the center of gravity of the panel to ensure panels hang near vertical. The minimum length of the rigging sling or the rolling sling should allow for a minimum angle of maximum angle of 60 degrees at the hook or pulley block. That is the hook or the pulley block. If the elements are large or awkwardly shaped, strong backs should be used to limit concrete stresses to accept levels. Additional lifting inserts are often added for multiple lifts for demolding. Like once you are demolding it from the bed, handling, transporting and erection, you need additional lifting inserts. Lifting inserts are nothing but which the provisions which you are going to embed into the concrete panel, that lifting inserts. It must be ensured that the correct inserts are used for each operation. Hooks of reinforcing steel shall not be used for lifting. Always remember, you have different type of lifting inserts to be placed in the precast panel while concreting. It should be of different material. You should not just fold and you should not bend and bind the same reinforcing bar into the concrete, precast concrete, because you know your steel is, when exposed to atmosphere, it will start corroding. In order to avoid that, we are placing different material here. This is the edge lift. Here you can lift it along the edges, and this is called single row, that is 2 point. In a single row there are 2 number of lifting insert points. This is this third image represents single row 4 point. In a single row there are 4 number of points to be lifted. This is double row, which means 2 number of 2 rows are there. This is 3 high equal load. You can see 1, 2, 3. 3 high equal load points are here. In this panel, where there is a opening or a cut, you have 3 high load, double load. 1, 2, 3, 3 high. 1, 2, 3, 3 high, and two rows you have. In this fourth one second. Okay. 4 high, 2 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows you have 2 wides. Here you have 2 highs with 4 wides. It's like vice versa of this third one is the fourth one. Temporary strengthening of panels with openings. In the previous class, we saw some precast panels video. Yes, they were installing. You were seeing some machineries and men are installing the precast panels into the structure. That time we saw like wide opening the wall, which can be used for either doors or sliding doors or windows, or it may be just open or an entrance to the hall or the room or the kitchen area. Temporary strengthening of the panels with openings. You have two provisions here. This is we already saw this lifting through edge. On the one edge you have the hooks, so you can just lift it vertically. Hoisting method for the beams. Generally, the lifting point should be located at about 1/5 of the beam length measured from the edge. You have your beam here, 1/5 of the beam length measured from the edge. You are going to calculate. You have to calculate and place your inserting hooks while concreting itself. Okay, in this only using the hoist cables, you are going to lift it. Are you clear? And this is the lifting pictures of the beam. Can you see? The rebars are projecting out. This is the beam, which you are going to lift and place it directly in the structure. Hoisting method for wall. Are you all along with me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Hoisting method for wall. For wall panels, it is recommended to lift the panel in vertical position for installing, so that turning is not required. We already know, like when the structure is huge, when the wall size is going to be highly rectangular, in that case, how we are going to transfer it in the trail is we place one in this manner and the other one backside. This is how we saw in the during transportation process. If your elements are going to be very small, then how will we transport? We will place it one over the other. Do you remember? For the small pieces, we placed it one over the other. The panels are arranged from the bottom till the top in a horizontal manner. In that case, you need to provide some lifting inserts at the sides so that when it is, your structure will be like this. It will be placed in the tray. So from here you are going to lift it, and you also have a hook here. The cranes will have two lifting system. One system is provided to lift the horizontal, and the other system you are going to let it tilt the panel, and you are going to lift it vertically. For that purpose only they are providing both horizontal and vertical inserting hooks. Hoisting method adopted for demolding of wall panels that are cast horizontally. Hoisting method for slabs. See, this is our slab. These are the different methods of how we are going to lift it. Using the hoisting cables from single, if your crane has enough power to lift a single things, then you are going to provide with the single cable itself, you are going to provide 4 chains and you are going to lift it. The capacity of the crane is not sufficient, then we are forced to move on with multiple positioning. Multiple cables, one here and the other one here, from which we are going to lift this two. Here one lever is going to lift these 2 points and the other lever is going to lift these 2 points. In this picture you can see it is being lifted, and it is going to be, the slab is going to be placed. Where necessary, multiple lifting points can be designed and located to minimize undue stresses within the slab elements, in particular for slender panels such as precast planks. Hoisting method for columns. For columns, you can see when you're transporting, you will have number of columns. Like if you arrange it in a horizontal manner, you can transport it safely. So you have the options of lifting it horizontally, and then you are going to tilt it Can you see? You have the horizontal locations here. You are lifting it as such, and while placing, you are going to tilt it. You are going to provide the hook here and remove this. In this slot and this slot, you are going to remove. You're going to place it at the top. You're going to lift it and place that in your position. And this is how it is arranged. You can see wooden planks or layers, wooden reapers are placed in between. That for the same height it should be maintained, because here you have a tapered one. Should make sure the dimensions are not damaged. Strength of lifting inserts is affected by proximity to the edges, proximity to holes, recesses or edge rebars, proximity to other lifting devices that are loaded concurrently, concrete thickness, that also matters, concrete strength at lifting, embedded depth. You should make sure the proper depth you should embed the lifting inserts. Here will be your precast panel. This will go in between your concrete. Only this outer ring will be projected. Sorry, only just a second. Only this outer ring will be projected. Here only are going to insert the hook. The presence of cracks, the proximity of reinforcement or pre-stressing tendons, tension stresses in the concrete around the anchorages. These are the parameters to be considered, that it doesn't affect the lifting inserts. Tilting molds and vertical molds. Thin, lightly reinforced panels are often cast in vertical molds or in horizontal molds. Then they are tilted to vertical before the panel is lifted. I'll repeat this point. Thin, lightly reinforced panels are often cast in vertical molds or in horizontal molds that are tilted to vertical. Remember, like if it is going to be horizontal also, we can tilt it to vertical position, because we have inserts at both the horizontal and vertical locations. Panels cast in this manner should be stored, transported and handled in near vertical position at all times. These panels may not have sufficient strength to resist gravity loads if laid flat. This is the assembly of the molds. These pictures are available only in the olden textbook. That is the thing, like you are having a black and white images. If possible, if I'm allowed inside the campus, I can take some new books from the library and I can project it. So let me try this week to enter into the campus. If they are allowing me, then it's okay, fine. I'll go or take the books and send you the pics. Check the squareness of the molds. Like they are checking whether it is equal, and also this, see, this is a panel. I can highlight it so that you can see it clearly. This is the panel. They're checking whether it is proper, the dimensions are proper. Check that the joints and edges of the mold, bolts, stoppers, the rods, side props and rubber seals are intact. That is, it is fixed firmly. And like once it is fixed firmly only, you can go for the next process. Form oil or mold release agent. That is the oil you initially apply over the formworks. Should be applied evenly over the mold surfaces. Maybe if you're not spreading your oil evenly, or if you're not greasing your mold properly, then in particular location where oil is more, like your concrete will be able to easily demolded. Whereas in the other thing, it will be not completely intact, but it will be very difficult for you to remove. That time you have to go search a hammer, hit it and then remove it. That is, we can avoid it by properly oiling the formworks. Fixing of rebars or cast in elements, precasting methods, how they are fixing. Like this reinforcing gauge, this they are going to prepare separately. They lay all this horizontal bars, over that they'll tie all these rings. You can see these rings. All this they'll prepare and finally they'll bring it there. Check that the rebar size, spacing and lap length are in accordance with the drawings. All these checks are carried over in the manufacturing site, whereas in situ concrete, on the site construction, we purchase, say example, we purchase 16 mm or 12 mm dia bars. We just instruct the, a local site engineer or the masons over there. We just instruct them to tie it with these bars, but we are not cross-checking all the time. But in case of precast, all the time rebar size, spacing, lap length, all those things are checked properly. They are checked in accordance with the drawing. You can see like he's having the drawing and he is checking. Electrical conduits. This is the electrical conduits which I told you earlier. Do you remember, like I told, in the olden buildings, we'll have this electrical conduits, this electrical pipings will be exposed. Like we can see it, maybe in your hostels. I'm not aware about your hostels. If you go to your hostel, just check it whether your pipelines are outside or it is embedded within the building. When it comes to precast, everything is going to be embedded inside the building itself. Like during concreting itself, everything is going to be embedded. The only thing is you will have an option to insert your wires. After everything is done, you're going to insert your wires and you're going to give the connection. Only that is remaining. Next is concreting. They're pouring the concrete. Use of power trowels or floats is recommended for.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what is pre-stressing? That in the 2 slides before it was mentioned pre-stressing. What is that?
Pre-stressing is nothing but to tell simply, it is you're going to tightly pack your concrete, that is RCC, with both your steel reinforcement and your concrete. You're going to completely pack it. In colloquial language, you tell it, pre-stressing is nothing but complete bonding of both the reinforcements and your concrete. If you want, I'll give you a detailed thing by tomorrow's class. Okay. That would be good. If you're not aware of that, it is better I'll give you a small, some 2 to 3 slides about it.
Okay.
You can have a clear understanding. Okay. Use of power trowel or float is recommended for smooth surface finishes. You can see, here is a machinery. A man is operating a machine here. In this machine, it is going to be some rectangular type. How it will be? The surface will be like this. Here is going to be your machinery. This is used in the surface to prepare a smooth surface. To prepare a top level should be very smooth. For that overall finishing, this type of equipments are used. And this is curing. We know how they are doing curing, that is using accelerated or steam curing process. They go for precast elements. And observe adequate curing time. This is for the normal cubes they have tested. Even though they are casting it for precast also, that concrete they'll be casting it for the cubes, and they'll make sure whether the concrete strength matches. The concrete cube should be subjected to the same curing conditions. Like when you are precasting, when you are casting the precast elements, you'll be going for atmospheric, like steam curing, either steam curing or accelerated curing. That same type of curing should be followed for this cubes also. It's not that you should follow water curing here. Both the things should be similar. Only then you can cross verify whether the desired target strength has been achieved. That is, the planned target strength has been achieved. And we saw about the demolding process. Installation of vertical components. We saw this in the video itself, but I'll circulate this PPT to you. You can just read those points. If it is not visible, like I'll give you a read. Set reference line and offset line to determine the position of the precast elements. This is the initial thing. Using total station, they are reviewing whether the points are equal and where they are going to place it. Then provide a level patch or shim plates. We saw this in the earlier video where they are providing this for setting the level of the elements. I request all you people to join the Google Classroom. I think only 76 students are there. So kindly, I request all of you to join by today. I'll post all the videos. We had some video sessions also in our class, right? I am not able to transfer that videos. So if you people are joining there, it will be comfortable for me to post all those videos there. You can have your videos as well as your slides as well as any books. I have a book for precast and pre-stressed concrete. That book also will circulate. So it will be easy for you to easily download. If I'm communicating through CRs, it is the CRs are really, I don't know what to say, because all the materials are circulated only through CRs. It's like, let us leave them free, That's what I feel. I'll directly send it to you. If you have any queries there, you can post it anytime. I'll answer. Okay. And For precast external elements walls, fix the compressible form or backer rods. Like once you place the bottom, you place the other one. Like you are going to interlock it. Check that the compressible form of brackets are properly secured. Like you're making sure whether it is fixed properly. Now this panel is lifting. They are lifting this panel. You can see a tower crane here. Is this tower crane? I'll just mark it with a highlighter. Oh, this is the tower crane. The tower crane is lifting this wall panel. They are going to erect it here. They are making sure whether the surface is clean. Only then they can fix it. Also, they have to check the exact location where they are going to fix it. See, they are checking it. And checking the hoist condition of the precast elements, checking for alignment. Once they are fixed, they're checking for the alignment. You can see they're having the spirit level here. They're checking for the alignment, whether it is vertical. And also they'll check over the surface whether it is horizontal. Because maybe in if it is vertical also at some location, it may be in this position. It may not be that accurate. So for every element, once they are placing, they have to check whether it is both vertically and horizontally fixed properly. I mean, the alignment is good. Okay. Okay. You have any doubts till this? You have any doubts till this? We in previous we saw about how we are fabricating, like how they are concreting the precast elements from the formwork, concreting, demolding, all those process we saw, and transportation we saw in last class, and the erection we started, but now we saw how they are erecting it. Then in the next, if you have any doubt, let us have this session, or let me take you to the next part of the unit. Yes. Anyone reply? Shall we move for the next part of the topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next topic is the same unit. The major parts are the prefabricated structures and then building services. We are done with all the plastering works. So and so we dealt in the first unit. The similar type of continuation we can see in the building services is that we need an extra service to make sure our structure is good and it is long lasting without any insects or termites attack. That falls under service, building services. We have two major topics, that is termite proof and damp proof. We'll see about termite proof. Have you seen this type of, this is not visible. Okay. Have you seen this type of termite attacks in any of your buildings? Yes. Yes. No. No.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
None of you have seen this type of termite attacks. Maybe whenever you go for the vacation to your grandparents' house or quite a older type of house, more than some 20 plus years of building, like whenever you go, you just go see the every wooden frames. That is the bottom of the wooden frame. You go check it. That is
Yes,
every
ma'am.
door. The bottom of the door. Okay. Bottom of the every doors, you can go check it whether there is any termite attack, or you can ask your either your parents or your senior most peoples in your house, so that you can ask what is termite attack. You just ask them, they'll tell so much of stories. I poured this chemical, again it is coming, termites are coming. Like I have changed the entire wood, again I'm facing the same issues. They'll have list of complaints to you. You can, like, once you ask them, they'll let you know with so many troubles they have faced. So today's task is you're going to ask about the termite proofing. I think for the past 2-3 class I didn't give you any task. Yes, I didn't give you. Yes or no? Did I give you any task for the last 2 classes?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
I
No,
forgot
ma'am.
it. So, okay. Maybe today you can go ask your parents or your grandparents or the senior most people in your family. You can ask them what is termites. Did you face any termite attack in their building? If so, like if they have already faced or if there is some existing termite attack, maybe you might not be aware of that. If they are telling, no, you go dig that place, you see whether there are any termites. Go check it whether termites are there. Okay. I have seen those types of termites, not this much, but I have seen only in the bottom of the wooden frames. No, like I have seen it in my grandfather's house. I have seen it. Then I saw him. Maybe I was doing my schooling. I saw him. He was buying some chemicals from the hardware shop. He was pouring into it. Again, some 2 to 3 years later, again this type of termites started attacking. What he used to do is every day he used to wipe this wooden doors. It is already painted. Though it is painted, you find some extra projections of these termites peeping outside. What he'll do, he'll go on procuring some chemicals, he'll pour it, the same cycling process he was doing. I was not much aware of it when I was doing my schooling. After doing, I mean, after learning about this termite proofing only, I came to know, oh, might be this is the reason, like why he is always doing this. People in the olden days, they were not aware of this one. Just they'll pour some chemicals, they'll ask their neighborhoods. The best engineer of our ancestors are their neighbors. They'll ask their neighbors, yes, is it true or not? Yes,
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know wrong with me. It's like what I'm feeling is I'm just seeing the slide and I'm just talking to myself. Do you agree with me? Are you like in your grandparents or your parents? Maybe not your parents because you all are 2K kids. Yes.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Then definitely you no need to ask your parents, you can ask your grandparents. They'll tell so much of stories regarding this termites or so and so. You ask them the best engineer, they'll tell my neighborhood person, he told only if you pour this chemical, you'll not have any termite attacks in your wooden frames or your buildings. You ask them, only your grandparents will be knowing. If you either hold a BTech degree or if you have a PhD degree also, the only best visible engineer is his neighbor. He'll listen to his neighbor, he'll collect it. Before taking any actions, they'll look into their neighbor. If their neighbor is pouring something, the next day they'll go get the same chemical from the same hardware shop, they'll pour it in. If it is either attacked by termite or not, they'll pour it and check whether it is working out or not. Yes. Have you experienced any type of this type of grandfather and grandmother in your family doing the same thing what the neighbor is doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, because our ancestors are like this, no? Even our grandparents. Only this generation is changing from our parents and from our generation. So it's like changing. Okay, this person is having a degree. Oh, he has some knowledge. Then we can go and ask him. People have started moving to technical talks only now. Yes, do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Maybe if you ask your grandparents, they'll tell all the stories. Maybe most of your grandparents may be educated, non-educated. That doesn't matter. You can go ask them regarding this termite proofing, what they did in their building, and how did they overcome this. This one reason is it might be due to the soil or it might be due to the better development of the insects. That is also if the moisture content is much in that area, you will definitely have this termite proofs. It's not that only you will be having in your house. This will be typical for the houses in your locality. Might be in the olden days they'll go with only single coat or double coat for the wooden buildings, but now we people are going for base coat. Once they'll call it as matti coat. Once it is done, they'll leave it for 24 hours. Again, they'll go for two layers of termite proofs. Paints are available in termite proofs nowadays, so they coat it. Once it is done, again they will go the over the paint they'll go for double coat, triple coat to make sure that only. I have seen so much of people, they give dull colors to their house, dull colored paints to their walls. They'll highlight the doors, windows. The reason behind that is they are scared whether their termites will attack their wooden doors and windows. Whenever you go to your friend's house or your neighbor's house or somewhere, wherever you go, if you find a highlighted window or a door, go question that person why did they go for highlighted window and door color. Okay, this is in case of wooden doors and windows. Okay, will you all ask this to your friends or neighbors wherever you visit their house? You just ask me. You just ask them and let me know regarding this. Okay, the reason behind this, they are scared whether the termites will come and attack their wooden thing, which may, like what they feel is the entire door will be collapsed, the entire wall. Some people will used to tell, if you have termites in your structure, no, structure is nothing but your wooden structure. That is your doors, windows. People will tell that once your window is gone, that's all. Once your door is gone, that's all. The entire roof will fall on your head. That is not going to happen. Only your wooden surface, wooden areas are going to be affected. Okay. You don't listen to such people. You just go ask your family members what it is, what they feel according to termite proofing. The termites that improve soil pH level, water content, and porosity by cycling dead particles contribute more to the environment. Simultaneously, it becomes harmful to human-made structures. Our house, our shelters, our homes, everything are, even industrial buildings, everything is human-made structures, where as untreated timbers, underground cables, this happens because so much of termites are there. It starts generating from the soil. In few regions, you might have seen like this heaps where so much of termites are there. Some people will say, no, here if you go there, snakes will be there. Have you heard of this? Snakes will go and live inside this termite made house. Tell like this only, termite made house, because this will be of porous soil where it will keep on growing. If this consider this is your soil also, this will go and penetrate to wherever wooden surface you see, where they'll go develop with that. That's the reason that's entering into our houses also. Now, can you remember, like, have you seen this type anywhere? Some people will say, I bought a teakwood only, but that woodman or the timber salesman like cheated me. He have given a very bad teakwood. Have you heard this? Like people complaining about the person from whom they procured the wood.
Yes, ma'am.
These things. All those things are nothing but the attack of termites. Termite proofing. Am I running out of time? You have the next class at 12:30? Sorry, 11:30? Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Okay, then let me stop with this slide. Okay, I'll stop with this. I'll continue in detail with next class. Okay. Because you need to give some 5 or 10 minutes break to your eyes. Always once your single class is over, give some 5 or 10 minutes break to your eyes. Okay, that's good for your health. If you keep on utilizing that 5 or 10 minutes also playing games or in your YouTube or in your Facebook, WhatsApp, don't spoil your eyes. Give a break to your eyes. Okay? Yes. Okay, you have any doubts? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. If you're done with it, you can end up your call.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.